Hello, we are live now. Yes, wonderful. I can see it in the preview. Um, Welcome to the first CD Foundation Twitch stream. We are live, and I have some friends here. We're going to do a round of quick of introductions, but I want to make sure if anyone's in the chat, the sounds okay, so we can make any major changes that we need to. Otherwise, we'll just jump right in. Let's give it that a second or two, see if anyone says anything. Y'all can actually say some stuff too if you want, just to make sure that people can interact with you.
Oh, hey.
Hola.
There you go. Yeah, so let's just jump right there. Perfect. Let's jump in. Who are you, Dewan? I see that you're a developer advocate.
Yes, a developer advocate, a rare breed indeed. So what we do as developer advocates is basically make developers' life easier, whatever that means. And I'm based out of the beautiful city of Toronto, Canada, and I work at IBM Cloud. So just same team as Adam, and similar work that JJ does.
Nice. So wait, who's Adam?
Oh, well, okay, so yeah, I've worked at IBM for a while, I think 7 years. I'm a software developer by trade. I work on Tecton kind of maybe a third of my time. I work on other kind of secret IBM projects. I've worked on machine learning in the past. I really like to help customers and end users. So hopefully I can share some tips and tricks and teach people a thing or two about Tecton along the way. That would be great.
Nice. And you're an ambassador, aren't you?
For the CD, not just any old ambassador, for the CDF. So I'm on a few committees as well, and it was a recent appointment. So hopefully I can reach more people through the CDF and spread the word about how good the CDF projects are and that kind of thing.
Nice.
And how about JJ? Who's JJ?
Yeah, I just started talking, not knowing who, no one knowing who I actually am. Yes, hi, I'm JJ. I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud. My job is, as Dewan so put it, is to make developers' lives easier. I get to play with new technology, i.e. Tecton and things out of the CD Foundation. And I stream on other channels too. And just to kind of bring this all in perspective, we tried to figure out a way to reach the audience for CD Foundation, to get Adam to be his life. He's a developer. We're trying to make his life better. We thought we should try Twitch streaming here. So this is our first one. We have a couple of things. We did a dry run last week, and maybe you saw that, maybe you didn't. But this is our first live one. So if you are in the chat and you are watching, please don't hesitate to contact us. We are live. Well, 2-second delay, and we're going to do this. So we're going to basically walk through what we did last week again, but live. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, just because that's the way so we can actually see things being done. And then we're going to have some fun, right, guys?
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So, and again, I apologize ahead of time if anything embarrassing pops up on my screen while I'm sharing live in front of people. I have turned off all my notifications, so hopefully not, but we'll see. Let's see how this goes. All right. So I put a simple agenda together, and both Dewan and Adam have access to this, so we'll probably add to it as we go. But I think it's really just a great idea to start off with. Adam, what is Tecton?
Well, there's a really nice paragraph there that kind of explains it. I don't know how I can, but if it was a person on the street or in a pub, maybe not in a pub, if I was somewhere with a lot of IT professionals and I wanted to know about Tecton specifically, I would say it's a way to basically, you can write things like tasks and pipelines in a Kubernetes native way. So let's say using Kubernetes already, it could be, OpenShift or Minikube or, a cloud provided platform. You want to start using things of pipelines and automation. So what you might do is install Tecton into this cluster and then start to write these Tecton tasks and steps. A typical step might be go and pull in this image from Docker somewhere and then run this command with it. Once you've done that command, put the output somewhere. You then chain these things together to form, let's say, a pipeline. So people may be familiar with things like Travis or Jenkins. There's a thing called Jenkins X, which kind of blends Tecton and Jenkins. but it's kind of a newish way to do continuous integration and continuous delivery and deployment. That's how I'd put it in a conversational way. There's a really good website we have here, and it's all open source. So please do kick the tires, see if it's good, see if it's falling over. And hopefully today we're going to tell you a little bit more about how to use Tekton and show you it in action. That's kind of the whistle stop tour.
Perfect, perfect. And I think you tackled why should I care, and which is true because I mean obviously you should know why you should care about Tekton, and it's cloud native pipelines on Kubernetes.
Yeah,
is that the TLDR?
I think so. So, you get these custom resources like a Tekton pipeline, and that will stay in your cluster as a resource, like a deployment or a service might. So you get things like, I guess, resiliency. There are these controllers that make sure the actual state is where it should be. You get all these weird cloud native benefits, and it's seen as quite trendy, growing, and there's all sorts of different sub projects under the Tekton umbrella that help to make developers' lives easier.
Awesome. Dewan, you have anything to add around this with the exposure that you have to Tekton?
Yeah, I work with Tekton as well. Adam mentioned most of the key points. And as Adam put it, that whenever he starts a conversation around Tekton, the assumption that those folks are somewhat familiar with Kubernetes, because that comes in the first place. So I assume that you have some familiarity with Kubernetes. So coming from a previous virtualization era, when we agree that in the cloud world, using applications running on containers is very helpful. And when you know the benefits of Kubernetes, all the goodies that comes with Kubernetes, that is fault tolerance, that means if your pod goes down, it automatically goes up. All those nice features you get with Tekton. And what is one of the biggest selling points, if I might say, although it's an open source project, is the reusability. That means you have these blocks of pieces of CI/CD, which you can just take and put into your pipeline, and that just works with some tweaks.
Awesome, cool. So it's repeatability, immutability, and the ability to build up a pipeline in a cloud native way on Kubernetes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So we're a bunch of talking heads right now, and we're staring at this agenda. How about we put some goals in? Adam, why don't you put in a couple of goals for us here?
Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna open up your terminal as well. Can you all see me typing? Great. Okay,
Yep.
can. I reckon it's going to be go and look at Adam's cat app example, which is on GitHub. This is me typing as fast as I can. It's probably at this place. See if it works, because what it should do is contain a Tekton pipeline, and everything in that pipeline is off the shelf apart from one task. So you want to get first-hand experience basically using a Tekton pipeline, looking at the tasks, and maybe using the Tekton dashboard to actually deploy something and then try it out. And hopefully the application itself is quite cool. Tekton does like its cats, so why don't you give that a try, and we'll see if it works, and we can see if Tekton was easy or hard to use, and hopefully inspire some people as well. That's what I'm thinking.
Sounds great. So I have a kubectl, because we should do it the right way. Kubectl get pods. I have a Kubernetes cluster with nothing on it. Namespace. I can't type because I'm slow. Namespaces. There we go. We literally have nothing on this cluster.
Yep.
I spun it up, as you can see, 112-ish minutes ago. So from the ground up, should we just start installing Tekton? Is that the right thing to do here?
Yeah, I think that the main website is probably the best place to start. See if you can install Tekton and check if the bugs all come up, and we'll go from there.
All right. So,
and while you're getting it, although we're using IBM Kubernetes Service, IKS, you can use any Kubernetes. Basically, any Kubernetes cluster will do.
Yeah, it's got quite good testing coverage on things like Google Cloud. OpenShift's pretty good, so I think you should just, give it a go.
all right. So, oops, that did not do what I want. So this says the installation is just running this release.yaml. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't trust random things from the internet.
No,
Right.
so you should have a bunch of deployments and services. So if you do k-get, I think you can do k-get all or kubectl get all, and then do -n tecton dash pipelines.
Okay. Well, I haven't actually ran it yet. I was
Oh,
saying
okay.
that should
Yeah,
we
yeah, that's
take a
not gonna
look
be
at
fun.
it?
Have a
Yeah,
look. Yeah.
just because
That should
random things
contain
from
the
the
deployment and the service, I think.
wget. There we go. So we can do vim release. Okay. So
Yeah, so
we have. Go ahead.
That's the namespace that I mentioned earlier, and there should be like a service definition and probably a deployment in there as well.
So we got some namespaces. We got some security policies. Now, if you've never seen Kubernetes manifests before, this is what it is. It's just all smushed into one. There's a religious war, from what I can see at least, on having if you have multiple files for the thing or all big one thing. Obviously, Tecton has decided to do it all as release, which is fine. But I just wanted to make sure that the audience members do have an opportunity to see that we did wget it directly from the Tecton website, and now we are going to apply it directly to a machine. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Kube. Okay. So I have alias K to kubectl because I'm lazy. That's why you'll see me type it, because I can't actually think about it in my brain. My brain is slow. -f, apply, -f, release. Okay, this looks like it's doing stuff.
Yep.
All right. Here's that service you were talking about, or services you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And that should all sit in the Tecton pipelines. Namespace, you only want us to do a k-get pods and then -n Tecton pipelines, or switch your default namespace. There you go.
K-get pods?
Pods. Yep, there should be a control and a webhook one. Okay, good. All right. So you've got these Tecton things installed. You actually get a bunch of custom resources next to Tecton. So if you, for example, kubectl get pipeline, let's say, there you go. So these are custom resources, and we just installed those as part of that installation. If you k-get pipeline, it should be nothing, but at least it knows what a pipeline is. If you were to do k-get foo, if you do that for me, it should say, I don't know what foo is.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think the next step, JJ, would be you can install the Tecton dashboard. That would let you see what's going on with regard to Tecton itself. So as you create these pipelines, you can interact with them. There's that option, or there's the cat app option. We could combine the two together if you like.
I think we should combine them, but just because for someone who's just walking into this world, is this the best sanity check that we can make sure that we have the CRDs, or is there another sanity check that we could do to make sure that our installation is what we hope to expect?
You can run a Tecton Hello World. So you could run, if you go to the Tecton main GitHub page, there should be some docs, and it's like, you can write a simple echo hello world type pipeline. Hopefully that's around here somewhere.
Yep. This is what we did. This is the one that we actually wrote on a different stream. But this is just another, it's a sanity check, right? Everybody should have sanity checks. Just instead of jumping directly to adding complexity by adding the cat app with all the stuff off the catalog. Though, don't get me wrong, the goal of this is to show how easy it is, but it's always good to have a sanity check or a smoke test or whatever you want to call that concept, so you don't waste your time with a broken installation. Is that an accurate statement?
There's a lot of scope things like permission errors or persistent volume issues if you use resources. So run a hello world and let's see what happens.
Oh no, I'm not saying I know I'm good, but I'm just telling other people that they should do this at least once to verify this stuff.
Okay.
So, okay. Now we were going to go to this URL.
Yep.
Aha! This looks like a GitHub repo.
Nice.
Yep. So hopefully the README is accurate, but I would recommend giving it a try. So it contains a pipeline some instructions, and it's a little bit more complex than that Hello World. And
Mhm.
again, hopefully everything can be found in the catalog, which is basically a collection of different Tecton tasks that I've put together as part of one pipeline. So it's like going to a department store and picking things up off the shelf, putting it on the counter and just saying, here it is. It's all gets assembled for you through my pipeline. Everything is freely available. So that's the catalog, yep, and you can see various things, I guess. That's the structure of it.
Where,
Yes.
if I was going to look for the things, is it under the task directory here?
Yep, I think so. So it's
Okay.
changed quite a bit, but usually I have like a different, you have a folder name and then like an owner's file. So that's who's responsible for a task. You might have like a GitHub task or a Slack task, and they've all got their own respective maintainers and owners.
GitHub. That seems like a pretty consistent thing people will be using.
Yeah, this is interesting. This has changed massive. Got all the history on the right. So
Yes.
it's all yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. So the way I did it was I actually checked out a certain commit hash just to be safe. And I've put a script called crabdependencies.sh that checks out an old version of the catalog because all these names are completely different different from what I. I'm glad I did that now. You know, mutability is great.
Oh, that's great.
Just as we are on this page, JD, if you could scroll up, please, and go to the main repo. For someone who's completely new to Tecton, on the main Tecton CD, like github.com/Tecton CD. So Tecton is like an umbrella project with many small sub projects. So what JJ just installed, that was the pipeline controller. So that is under pipelines project.
Yep.
And yeah, this is a pipeline. This is the one. And then what Adam was showing was the catalog sub project. So the Tecton umbrella project, it has many helpful pieces. For example, what we'll use later is a dashboard project that Adam's team worked on.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So we've level set that you need to know at least a little bit of Kubernetes to be able to use Tecton, because it's an extension question mark of and best practices of doing pipelines on cloud native infrastructures. That's kind of what we've alluded to, right? So you need the base knowledge to do that. So we're not going to go very deep into Kubernetes, but we're going to have to touch it quite a bit, right? Is that, or am I wrong? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kubernetes comes with its own like resources, like services and deployments, and we extend those and include things like pipelines and tasks. So it's indeed an extension for doing, you know, CI/CD.
All right. So I think we should check out this code that you wrote. This seems like a reasonable thing to do, right?
Yep.
Indeed. Roberts. $, get clone code, like so.
Yep.
Cat app. Okay, so I have tree on here. I don't have tree on here. Fine, tree. That's not going to help.
README is a good place to look at
Okay.
because the rest of it is kind of just gubbins. It's not really that important. Here we go. So there's quite a bit to do. And the reason there's a bit to do is because we're going to build this source code and push it to your Docker registry. So we're going to need to create a secret. I'm not going to say anybody can push to JJ's registry. Then we're going to need to patch a service account and basically tie everything together by doing the deploy command or the tkn command, which is a way to run pipelines, referring to your own namespace and service account. So this is kind of like, you know, you've seen Hello World, you know what it is, but that's actually something that people do all the time. Let's go and clone something, build and push the thing, and then deploy something. And that's why it's, you know, not just 1 or 2 steps.
Awesome. So just because I think I already did it, I believe I already have the cat app already on my Docker registry. Oops,
Okay.
I forgot to remove that.
Okay.
So I'm going
Get
to
rid
put up some top secret real quick, just because I want to make sure that people don't, steal my stuff. Hub.docker.com. And I'm going to delete it. And then I'll bring it up to show you that there's nothing in my Docker registry. So we're going to be going from no cheating. Exactly. So delete this repository, cat app. I should have done this before the stream. I'm sorry. Okay. So back here, just to prove, we do not have anything called cat app on here. If I search cat, I don't see anything with that. Do I have anything with app? I have my app, which I actually genuinely don't know what that is. So nothing hidden. This is completely what we are going to be pushing up to this register.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Now, we have. So I'm thinking we should probably have the README open at the same time as we're doing this, right? Like this seems like something we should refer back to pretty regularly.
Yeah, sure.
And if it helps, the README could be on the GitHub UI as well, if that readability helps.
Oh,
but yeah, I see the two screen, but yeah, the both screens help here.
Roberts. Okay, so we're in the directory. Now we have, we're not going to build this locally. We're going to trust that your code works, because I don't want to have to deal with
Let's do it.
forwarding stuff. Anyway, okay, so modify config/service.yaml and point it to your own Docker registry.
So I think it needs to be deployment.yaml. So the service is where we define like what port it listens on, but I'll probably actually put in deployment.yaml because that's more of a sensible place to do it. So look in there instead. And I'll look to see if there's an image reference. There you go.
And that looks right there.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about the dings, gentlemen.
That's good.
All right. Do we do anything else here?
Nope.
Or is that everything we need? Okay.
That's it.
Oh, don't we need to install the dashboard also before we go any farther here? Or should
now's a good time to. So you can install the Tekton dashboard, and that's going to be a convenient way to see what Tekton is doing, and it actually create Tekton secrets and package these service accounts. You're going to need a secret to push to a registry. So why don't you head to the dashboard repository and see if the installation instructions work.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, he's quite prominent. He's on the docs calls quite a bit as well.
Yep. Tekton dashboard install.
Yep, there you go.
Hey, I know that guy too.
Oh, yeah. Not too bad. So hopefully you can pick a 071 release from somewhere. Now let's not use the installer just yet because that's kind of an experimental thing. This is the one that I'm very confident will work. The installer works as well, but that's kind of what we want to push out for 0.8. This is 071 of the dashboard. So if you do that command, it should be good. So
just doing another kubectl apply from the internet to say, hey, go install my things. There's a little bit of facetiousness in there, and just saying curl bash all the way. No,
it's just a YAML. Trust the YAML.
Why don't you put a sudo on there as well, JJ?
Oh, I should. No. Oh. Well played. Well played. Well played.
Can I get your password as well, please?
It's Hunter 2. What are you talking about?
That gave you a bunch of other resources as well.
Yes.
And hopefully the README tells you how to access the dashboard.
All right. So this tells us we should be monitoring for everything in running state. Is that still something we should do?
Yeah, it's always a nice sanity check just to make sure the pods came up and they're happy. They do look to be happy, so that's good.
All right. I did hit Control-C.
And so accessing the dashboard on Kubernetes is next. Now we give you a choice. So if it was OpenShift, you'd get a root, but you're not on OpenShift, so we can either do a proxy or port forward.
Dewan, which one should we use?
Flip coin. Well,
Far
let's use port forward.
Sure.
forward. All right. So what I'll do is I will do this in another window, just so we can have it running, so we don't have to see all this stuff coming back. But
Okay.
what we are doing is exactly that command, where we are going to port. Oh wait, hold on. This is on a remote machine. Shit. No, we need to do this on my local laptop, don't we?
On your laptop that's connected to the kube cluster, and then you do the port forward command, yeah.
Okay, hang on. back to the secrets. I don't want people to steal my stuff.
So while DJ finds it, like although we are using dashboard, you can also do it without the use of dashboard. So for that, you create the Kubernetes secret, you create the service account, you attach that to your pipeline, and then but dashboard makes it much more convenient.
That's right. You could, just create and modify YAML, and you can also use this thing called Tecton CLI called TKN, and that will basically stream the logs as well for what your pipelines are doing. So, we're trying to cater towards everyone pretty much. The folks who like the UI a lot, folks who want to use it a little bit, maybe for secrets, and those that are just preferring to use a command line. So we give you the flexibility.
Aha! There we go. All right. Just thinking about it. As you see, it says Tecton dashboard up. Yay!
Yeah, nice.
Yay!
I was never in doubt about that. So this gives you a nice view of what Tecton's up to. So you've got nothing yet, which is good. No one's compromised your machine. And there's a really nice secrets page we're going to use to get that Docker thing sorted out. Because the way Tecton does secrets currently is it relies on these annotations on secrets, like tecton.dev. And we handle that through the dashboard. So we're going to want to create a secret here, JJ. It's going to be of type password, and yep, click on that big create button. And before you do this, JJ, I want you to make a decision. I want you to think, whereabouts should my pipeline run be? Because it needs to be in the same namespace as where your secret is. And we've just installed Tecton into Tecton pipelines, but where do you want to actually run the thing? It could be in a separate namespace, for example.
So right now we have everything sitting, and just to repeat what you just said, so I'm walking through it in my head. Everything lives inside of Tecton pipelines. So, and this is a 3-node cluster, nothing crazy is going on.
Yep.
But if I was sitting here as a person with a much more robust cluster with a lot of things going on, possibly maybe dev, QA sitting on there, I would imagine we still want to put all our Tecton-y things inside of Tecton pipelines, because then Tecton is completely scoped to that namespace, right? Or is that wrong?
So you could think about it in two ways. The Tecton pipelines namespace is where only Tecton itself sits. So those controller pods you saw earlier in the dashboard, and then you might give Dewan access to his own namespace called Team 1. Now I have access to Team 2, and our pipelines and pipeline runs are all isolated. You may have some special source secret project, and this should be namespace scoped. So, we can use this one for now, but eventually one might want to set up their own namespace and do things in isolation.
I'm just going to use this opportunity to ask this question, because this is the type of questions I got from many clients who were just trying to think about Tecton, that if they have their enterprise, like multiple clusters where their secrets are living in one namespace, is all the secrets, and they would like to use Team 1, Team 2, Team N to run all the different workloads for their DevOps needs. Would a single namespace with all the secrets be able to hook up with all those different Tecton resources?
No. Typically do things in the same so basically, cross-referencing across namespaces in Kubernetes isn't really, that encouraged. So you might do things with your own service accounts and roles and role bindings in their own namespace, and you would have maybe a copy of the pipeline over in that namespace as well. I'm not sure if you can cross-reference pipelines at the moment in Tecton, but you can use things like cluster tasks. Cluster task is available across the cluster, across namespaces. So I think for simplicity's sake, you'd go with, let's say, using the Tecton pipelines namespace, but for production case, different namespaces, proper role-based access control, and that kind of thing would be considered.
Got it.
My gut, my gut, and I guess my head, because it's not my gut talking, it's my head. It feels like that statement. If you're doing multiple namespaces with secrets across everything, shouldn't you be looking at something like HashiCorp Vault by that time? Because you need a way to have secured secrets across multiple different entities, and you don't want the sharing secrets across namespaces is great in development, but in prod you should have rigor to make sure that you don't do things like that. Am I wrong?
100%. That's a good stream idea, I think, right there, JJ. It'd be nice to give that a try and see how Tecton can handle it.
Yeah, that can spin up a nice architectural security discussion as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I think I just figured out what we're doing next time.
Well, actually, it would be nice to extend the pipeline because there's room for improvement. I think Dewan might be a number of slack, so we can consider that.
Okay, so I'm just taking some notes because, I mean, as we say, this is live, and the next one is going to be to extend the pipeline to be moving forward. But then eventually we should think about Vault and security over different namespaces and pipelines. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
NS and pipe. And no joke, one of the hardest things about streaming is to figure out what you're going to do next. So we already have 2 streams already planned. That's really good. That's a really good sign.
That's a winner. So JJ, remind us, what do we have at the moment?
We have decided, because we don't want to make it too complex or too hard, we're going to still put everything inside of Tecton pipelines because we want to show this working. We're just doing this in dev, if you will. Not really dev, but if we were doing it in dev, geez. Wow. Anyway. Yeah, right. They probably are a bunch of R710s, no joke. But anyway, so yes, we're going to just do it all in Tecton pipelines for now, because I'm going to blow this cluster away anyway. We're not going to have it for next time because we'll extend it and we want to show what we can do quickly to the point. Anyway, yes. So we're going to do this in Tecton pipelines. So back to the secrets.
I want to see the kata. Yep.
Docker secret.
Yep.
Good name.
Fantastic. One of the best. Very original.
All right. Yes. We want to put it in Tecton pipelines.
Yep.
As a password, a username of JJ Asgar.
Yep.
And I don't actually know what my password is, so give me a moment here.
Yep.
Putting it in, getting it from my little password vault.
I assume it won't show in plain text, will it, JJ?
God, I really hope not. I'm rolling the dice on this one.
Okay, I'm watching the stream on one of the monitors.
It's all
there we go.
Just the same as mine.
There we go.
Nice. And create?
No. Look at the access to part. So secrets are used in several ways. Go on the access to drop down. Instead of doing Git server, choose Docker registry. And that'll change the annotation it puts on it to say, Tecton, when you're doing your thing with Docker or image registries, this is a kind of secret you might want to consider. So that looks good to me now.
So can I add things to this access for things, or right now is it only these 2 things? Could I extend it to like my GitLab instance or something like that?
So you can use the Git type secret with GitLab, yes. For anything else, I don't know.
For Quay? Because we should be using Quay because we're IBM.
Sure. I think you can use it if, yeah. I'd say it as key, but yeah, I think you can.
Okay, I
Yeah,
can get
'cause
some
that's
red headers to extend that
yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
sorry.
one other point is, see how we're creating just the Docker secret. We don't have to create the GitHub secret because it's a public repository.
Yeah, exactly.
But if
Very good
you are
point.
using a private repository,
Yeah.
just like JJ created a Docker registry, there is access to Git registry.
Yeah. So you'd make multiple secrets. You'd make one for Git, one for Docker, and you patch them to the same service account that your pipeline one would eventually use.
And of course, if you're doing this in the real world, this would be a lot faster, right?
Yeah.
Because you see all this, but we want to make sure that we are clear walking everyone through this. So
Yeah.
if you decide to do this at home, you can see what we're actually doing.
Yeah. So JJ, the next question is,
Ooh.
who's going to run your pipeline run? What service account?
That's a great question. And if I remember correctly, we had some really, really nasty problems with this. And I don't want to go down that path again.
So you want a service account that's going to be able to do quite a few things. For example, create deployments and services because the application itself will. So the Takedown dashboard is quite powerful, but that is probably meant to be just for the Takedown dashboard. So what you could do is go and copy an example service account.yaml somewhere and basically get that ready for manipulation. Because what we can do is we can set up a new service account called test. We can give that a bunch of permissions and we can choose that on this menu because I want to keep it separate from the Takedown dashboard.
Now, it does say this is optional. So can I just leave this open and will our new service account appear?
Yeah. So you can do this and not patch anything yet. And what we can do is use the command lines to get the service account later. And we add basically a reference to that secret that you just made. This is like an image push secret, if you like. It's just a normal secret in Kubernetes. There's also image pull secrets, which are for pulling. We're going to be pushing.
Is it the service here? Is that our service account or no?
That's a service in the sense that you can access something like via a port or an address. So an example service account is probably best if you go to the official Kubernetes docs, look at service account, and there should be a little bit of YAML we can basically copy and use as our base and edit that together and add a bunch of permissions.
Kubernetes, I literally Googled Kubernetes service account. Looks like I've done this before.
Yep. So hopefully there's something nice we can build upon.
Hopefully.
Yep. Okay, that looks like a service account to me. API version v1. Yeah, so you see that there, copy that and put it into an editor of your choice. And because we're already in this namespace, if you were to apply it, it should sit in this namespace.
Yep, we are in the Tecton namespace.
Yep, so let's just add that. And then there was a little line at the bottom that I don't think we needed. It didn't look particularly relevant. Yeah, I don't need that line on there. Just get rid of that. All right, and let's call it's not a bad name, but let's go with something like test. There you go. Yeah. So, yep, that looks cool. Do that. Apply that.
You probably want
just that
for the service account like some kind of test dash SA, so that when you do the kubectl get, we know that this is a service account.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that?
Yeah.
Like this? Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. Looks good.
I think that's immaculate.
We're not giving it any permissions or anything because we're giving it permissions through the GUI, correct?
We're going to give this permissions by doing role and role binding stuff. And they basically denote a way to give permissions to service accounts.
We also need to refer the secret, right, which we just created in that service account.
Yes, yes.
And that's what this is for, right?
No, it's in the service account YAML file.
Okay.
Yeah, because the dashboard didn't refresh at the time. Yeah.
Secrets.
So in here, you get a new secrets stand. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, secrets, colon, and then dash name. And we refer, I think we call it Docker secret, Docker dash secret.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks good. Looks good.
Okay. So now K apply dash F service count.
Yep.
It looks like it did something.
Nice.
All right. So that's going to need some permissions, I think. What you can do is give it a try now and run the entire pipeline with that secret and service account. And if it does error for whatever permission reason, we can then go and fix that issue. You may want to do that.
Okay. So I'll go back to this. Oh, it did. Nice. I want to
Right, well,
check that.
We don't need to because we already just did the patching. So what Dewan wants to do is a manual patching of the service account that the dashboard could have done for you.
Ah, nice.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's your
Oh,
secret.
there we go. Mhm.
Cool. So what's next in the instructions, JJ?
So,
We've done that determining bit.
yep. So now we need to do grab depths.
Yes. And this is the thing that goes and looks at the catalog, clones it, checks out a certain revision because we know the folder name is a little bit different now, and goes and actually applies all of the the Tecton tasks that the pipeline I've built will actually use. So if you now do, kubectl get task, you should see a bunch of useful looking items.
Tasks.
Well,
I like that name.
There we
very good.
go.
All right. And the next bit says is to remove the host path references in repo pvc.yaml if you're in a real cloud environment. And I believe you are. So
Yes.
why don't you edit that? There it is at the bottom.
We do not want that.
Yep, just get rid of that. That was useful on Docker Desktop just for testing. And then what's next? If you're deploying in a real, we've done that. You just go down a little bit. There's a little bit about role-based permissions, but we're going to do that after the fact. That's what I run this pipeline. And now it says do the tkn run command. So open that tkn run script. You're going to realize a few things. One, we need tkn.
Yeah.
And two, we have to change it to use that service account namespace that we just made.
Okay. So tk run command.
Yeah. So it
You
sets
need to
up
install the Tecton CLI.
Exactly. So it takes a bunch of arguments, but if you go down to the bread and butter of it, the actual command that gets run, it does this tkn command, and it does a -n default. So that means use the namespace default and the service account default. So you're going to need to change those two words towards the end of this and make sure it uses the one we just made. So your namespace was Tecton pipelines, and the service account was test-sa. Exactly.
So?
Yep. Okay, so save that. And remember, we need this tkn thing now.
And I added the comment on the Twitch chat, just for reference, the brew tab.
Perfect. tkn run https github.com a roberts cat app.git.
This is you preparing, right? So this is you getting it ready.
Yep. Cat app http://cat app. Is this supposed to be 3030 or 3300?
I think what's in there is good.
Okay.
Viewer discretion ahead. Don't try this at home. Copy all your URLs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I got the command ready. What do we do now?
I think Dewan's giving you something that looks useful.
I believe I already have Tecton tkn installed. Yes.
Okay, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh. Oh.
Advanced.
Fake stream. Fake.
Yeah. Well, this is also a Linux box too, so I can't use brew, unfortunately. So,
Terrible. Outrageous. Yeah. Okay, so why don't you give that command a go? And I think it's going to run the Tecton pipeline. Hopefully it'll get to the end, but we may get some permission errors. But the dashboard will show us the pipeline's running and where it got to. So I'm ready if you are.
All right, so let's bring this over here and then bring our dashboard over here. And we'd see it in pipeline runs.
Yep.
Or
Pipeline runs is good. Pipeline runs, place to be.
So we got nothing going on here. But if I hit this button,
Yep.
oh, that didn't like it. I'm in the wrong directory, am I?
Oh, you're not, but there's no pipeline, is there? So do get pipeline for me, JJ.
That is correct.
Okay, so now do a ls tecton. I think I've basically, you need to do a kapply tecton.
Pipeline.yml.
So what I've done is I've given you the dependencies, I've given you the run command, the pipeline, but I didn't tell you to create the pipeline. So
that's great.
go ahead and apply.
And just 10 seconds for people who are trying to understand. So the smaller units are the tasks. So we have the grab dependence created the task, and pipeline consists all these tasks. So pipeline needs to be there in order to have the pipeline run. So pipeline run is an instance of pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So if you compare object to instance, if you're coming from object-oriented background.
That's right. And all these tasks have got their own steps as well. So you can find them out in the catalog, and you can put a link to it, or you can check out the code in GitHub.
Clone to get clone, which is good. Build and push to the Docker URL that we're changing. So it's again back to the modularity, right? Where we're pulling a bunch of modules, if you will, catalogs, tasks off of the catalog repo.
Yep.
Not master, because we discovered problems with that. And now we are just taking some very basic changes from the Tecton run that we have. As we saw, we're just a bunch of URLs and variables to get the cat app to do this thing, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
What we could do, Jake, is when you run that, it should push the image somewhere. If it doesn't deploy, we can always pull the image locally and run the cat app that way. So I'm ready to run the pipeline run if you are.
But what's that PVC thing that popped up? Is that something I should be worried about?
So we use something called workspaces, and that's basically a way of passing things between these tasks at the moment. So when we're using those, we basically put a flag on the TKN command, and it refers to persistent volume claim. And I basically give you an example persistent volume claim. Because you're an IBM cloud, you get dynamic provisioning. It will go and create this volume that the claim will use, and then the pipeline will be satisfied and do its thing. It's basically a way of like persistent things in between all the tasks and steps.
Wonderful. So if something breaks, you can look at the errors or whatever, or is it more just like for historical things?
Well, you can look at a little bit of both. So you can look at the errors that's in the pipeline runs, and the dashboard will show you. But if you delete the pipeline run, you're going to lose pretty much everything, unless you put the logs out.
So I genuinely didn't think it was going to click that quickly and go do the thing. So it looks like we're actually running. Is that right?
I don't believe that. If you do kubectl get pods, I reckon they're all in pending state. Or there's going to be one pod in pending. That'll be the first task in the pipeline.
Yep.
If you describe from catalog shelf, my bet is it's going to say there's no persistent volume for me just yet. So if you describe that pod, that's the one. Don't forget you need the qualifier. It needs to describe something. So in your case, it's just a pod.
Good call. I can never get that right. Describe pod.
Yep, it'll tell you what it's waiting on. There you go. So it's waiting on our persistent volume claim that's unbound. If you were to do get PVC, that should show you the claim that I've made called repo PVC. And that's probably waiting for something. So now if you do, you can either do that or you can just do a describe. So if you were to do describe PVC, because there's only one, it'll describe just that basically. But it would be all otherwise. And that's saying something. It's saying when it wants to be created. Now, you can either create one yourself, but on IBM Car, I think it's made for you. And it's looking for this volume, basically. So
Okay.
why don't you do kget PV? So that's kget persistent volume, and just see if you've got any yet. Okay,
Looks like it just happened.
So now do kget PVC. That should no longer be pending; it should be bound. Now do
Yep.
kget pods. I'm keeping you on suspense here because there you go. Now this is the dashboard. It should be satisfied, and it's proceeded to the next step. And because it's persisting, it's going to be using the same persistent volume across these steps. So hopefully, we won't have to wait longer. Now, what's this one doing, JJ? Can you click on that and we can see some logs maybe?
We are waiting.
So if you were to go to your command on the left, in your shell on the left,
Mhm.
you have that TKN command somewhere because it said you can view the logs with a big, massive thing, but definitely don't run that command again. You may have lost it in your shell. Or, yeah, something like that. There you go, that's better. So that should give you the same output the dashboard gives you, just in your terminal. And this may take a while because it's going to clone the repository, do the Docker build based on its Docker file, then do a push.
Nice. So we're actually watching our pipeline kick off and run and do actual things now. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's going through all of those different tasks,
There we go.
if you like, all their steps.
Yep. We're seeing it both places.
And while it's building, a question for Adam. Let's say a team, they don't have their build based off of Docker. What would your suggestion be for them if they would like to use Tekton now to build and push?
It's not based off Docker, so it's just like a non-containerized app, like an executable, like a .go file, do you mean?
Right, yeah, non-containerized application.
Yeah, so there are things like, I think there's a Go task in the catalog that just does a normal Go build. So you could use Tekton for the containerized bit itself, but your application itself doesn't need to be containerized. So you could just do a Tekton task that basically clones, Go builds, and then pushes executable somewhere or just runs it.
Got it.
So what's happened here, JJ? I think these are the permission errors, right?
This looks like permissions, yes.
So you've got two options. One is you modify the service account to use basically a role and a binding, or we basically create a deployment on your laptop, if you like, that refers to that image. So we just built an image, remember the cat app? In theory, you can do, I think it's Docker run, and then the image that we just pushed, and then the port number. And that should basically do the deployment bit on your local machine. That would save us a lot of time doing the role-based access control stuff.
Docker run -it or -it.
Okay, I don't have my telescope. Can you make it a
Oh,
little
sorry.
bit? Please.
I thought it's my eyes.
There we go. So yeah, you just push that image somewhere, I think. I think it's called cat app. You can see it on the left or your Docker hub.
And that repository did not exist.
Yes. Yes. Docker hub.
It should be brand new, just waiting to be pulled and used.
That looks like 2 minutes ago.
So if you do Docker run jjscar/cat app, and maybe 3000 on the end, how do you like a -p command? Because it's going to list on a port that you need to access.
Correct.
Is it -p 3000?
Yes, 3000, 3000.
Yeah.
You don't need -it because it won't be interactive, will it?
Okay.
You just wait to just run and be gone. And then go to localhost 3000. Hopefully you should see the wonderful cat app.
Click me? Is that what I want to?
Hey,
Hey, we got cats.
Good.
Virtual high five.
Yay.
Excellent. All right, good. So what did we do there?
we
What's going on?
Oh.
got a bunch of cats. We got a bunch of cats.
I can quickly do a review and then you can correct me if I missed anything.
Okay.
So first we installed Tekton, and by Tekton we mean the Tekton pipeline controller, the Tekton CLI, and the Tekton dashboard. So because it's Kubernetes based, we have to create Kubernetes secret and Kubernetes service account. Now those are not Tecton CRDs; those are existing resources for Kubernetes. Then we use a bunch of off-the-shelf Tecton tasks that were already there on the Tecton GitHub catalog, and we installed those. So tasks are the building blocks, and then we created the pipeline which contains those tasks. Finally, we ran the pipeline run, which is an instance of the pipeline object, and that kicked off the pipeline, and we saw all this happening on the dashboard. Now, the error you saw was related to some permissions with the service account, and in my experience, a lot of Tecton issues related to service account. So we had two options, either to change the request role and role binding for the current service account we had, or since the image was already pushed, what JJ did was he just pulled his image from his Docker repository and then ran that locally to access the application. Anything I missed?
No, that is perfect.
One thing is TKN. We installed, well, we didn't install it, but we had TKN already. And that's another project under the Tecton umbrella that JJ used to create that pipeline run, which Dewan mentioned was an instance of the pipeline. So again, that's under, I think, Tecton CD. I think it's CLI. Yeah. And that's where we got that from. But you didn't need to. You could have, in theory, made a pipeline run object to throw into a pipeline. Instead, we did it through TKN. And I think, JJ, if you were to do kubectl get pipeline run, or get PR for short, you're going to see that pipeline run that we just made. We made that through Tecton, but it didn't have, sorry, through TKN, but it didn't have to be. Could have been through a bunch of YAML, basically. So can you click on that cat picture a few more times, please?
Sure. My next question is...
There you go. Okay. It's still working. Go ahead.
Still working. So we used Tecton to... That's a crazy looking cat.
I like the previous one.
I always like cats when they do that. I always find it funny. So now we know how to kick things off with a pipeline run, pulling things off to do this. Now we can build a pipeline. Now, how would I trigger that pipeline? Like, I'm not going to run my build every single time using TKN. That seems kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Right. Like the idea is that I push some code and something happens. Now, would webhooks and using GitHub webhooks be the correct way, or do we have this running on like a cron job? Like, what is the next natural step?
You could use the thing like Tecton triggers. You could use the webhooks extension. You could use, there's a lot of community kind of projects that people are making kind of in an ad hoc way. I think Kevin McDermott demonstrated one recently on the Tecton working group calls, and they're really useful as well, by the way. They're every week. So we could look into triggers, maybe a future stream, or we could look into enhancing this pipeline, because you may want to be notified of when certain things happen. This is a very static pipeline. So we can go in a few different ways. We can do, you get a trigger, you do something, or we can go into make this pipeline a little bit cooler, or go into the other idea we said earlier, which I can't remember at the moment, but it was a good idea.
Vault.
Vault, HashiCorp Vault, incorporating that. So we've got multiple paths, really.
Awesome. Well, if I remember correctly, our goal for this stream was me being able to type. Did I actually? Yeah, right. Yeah, agendas, Vim 2020. There we go. So was to get Cat App to work and to show up. So it feels like we've accomplished our goal.
We did more than go and look.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
We overachieved. Well done, everybody.
There you go. Awesome. Well, and we're coming right up at the hour, which is even perfect, even better.
Even perfect.
Time management.
So yes, exactly. It's almost like we practiced this or something.
Exactly.
No.
Well, let's wrap things up. Dewan, any last thoughts or anything you wanna mention?
I really had a lot of fun with JJ and Adam. I'm really, really looking forward to future streams. And thank you all to watching in future, watching currently. Thank you.
Adam, any last thoughts?
I have our Jason to really straight face while saying that. It was just great. It was like really, that was good. Got a lot done. I think we can definitely expand on this through future streams. And I look forward to any questions, feedback, ideas, suggestions, everything basically. Let us know and reach out to us either on Twitch or the CDF Slack or LinkedIn or whatever you fancy, really.
That's actually a really great question. If we wanted to be an active member of the Tecton community,
Yep.
what do you do? Like, where do you go?
There's a Tecton CD/community folder, and that's basically got things like how to join the Slack channels, working group calls. I think that's it. So Tecton CD/community on GitHub. Check it out, and hopefully I'll see you all on Slack, either making great questions or great ideas.
I'm adding Tecton public Slack channel on the Twitch chat. It's super helpful channel. Like every time I have a question, when I ask the question, I get answer in less than 5 minutes. Really, really bunch of knowledgeable people there. So yeah, that's there.
That because they're really easy questions.
That's good.
Didn't say no. Excellent.
Awesome. Well, I guess on that note, we'll go ahead and say goodbye. Say bye, y'all.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.